we're going to do some more hydrangeas today. So I'll just add it to my other video of hydrangeas. And these are going to be blue hydrangeas, and first I'm going to do the leaves. Now, how I load the brush, and hopefully this can be, I can't see if that's clear yet. I'm going to double load my brush. You see I put both corners each in a puddle of paint, and I just blend, blend, blend until it goes from the dark green to the light green, and it kind of blends together. Make sure you have your brush fully loaded. I had to put my palette down because that lighter green was running. And then we're going to do a basic scallop leaf, which I have an entire video devoted to the scallop leaf, as well as that's part of other videos I do. And that one doesn't have very much dark green on it, but I'm not going to worry about it because that's going to be the undercoat, and I will need to come back anyways later to go over it to make it more opaque. And I just put my brush in the wrong colors, so I'm just going to dry it off. I had put the light side in the dark green and the dark side in the light green, and that just won't work. Thankfully, you just have to dry out or pinch out the brush with a rag, and then we'll make another leaf here. Oh, not clear, not clear. There, clear. Sorry about that. We'll do this again. And you notice I put the light side, light against the dark, and that makes it show the seam there. Now, this one, the leaf is going to overlap this. I'm going to go ahead and make it so I have placement for that leaf, but I will have to come back after I paint this hydrangea and do that. Okay, let me move the camera and make sure that it's in focus. I'm going to do some more leaves. This one's going to come down here. I just drew in the circles just to kind of place where I'm going to do the hydrangea blossoms. Now this was a custom order sign. It's going to say Ari's Garden. And I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want my leaves. See if you can see over there. Let me move my camera and focus it for you. Okay. Some leaves are going to go over here. Hopefully I didn't just stick my hand in your way, but I can't tell since the camera's behind me. I'm not very good at doing leaves pointing up. Or I should say with my brush. Go in this direction. For some reason I do better going downwards. But practice makes perfect. So I should practice doing upward. Every time I go away, I'm reloading my brush. And there we go. I think that should be enough leaf. Maybe I'll put a leaf there. And there's the leaves on the top. I have a row on the bottom to do, and then I will come back and go over the other leaves and make them opaque. Now I'm going to go back over the leaves like I said I would to make them more opaque, and I make sure the light is against the light side and the dark against the dark side, and I reload my brush. And I keep doing that until all the leaves are opaque. I just go over them a second time. Sometimes I only undercoat with the light green and not both colors, but this time I did both. Well, that one's going to be done after those two, after this one's been done, because it's going to go over top of that one. That one I don't think will quite reach, so I will go ahead and move my camera, so bear with me while I focus it for you. And I will go over these. I don't think I have to reload that time. I don't do well upside down. And I'll put in some like floater leaves. Just not necessarily, it might get covered up by the other one, but it doesn't matter because leaves are frequently underneath the flowers. And I'll go over those in a second, and then I will come back and start filling in on the hydrangeas. In the other hydrangea painting video I did, I had the darker along the bottom and a medium on the top, and kind of put the weight of a dark color on the bottom. This is, I'm going to do all of it in a dark color, pounce it in with this scruffy brush, and I just pounce it into the paint, and then I'm going to pounce it over the base of those leaves and just fill it in. As best as I can with that dark blue. This is Midnight, I do believe. I'll check that for you. Make sure Folk Art Midnight color. And you see how it's kind of going over the base of those leaves. I had thought maybe that leaf would be going over top of this one. Yeah, I can make that a little bit bigger. It was a little puny looking. Now let me move the camera over here so you can see the third, bring it into focus. Okay, and then the last one on this one. Same deal, and you see how those leaves will come out over this blossom. There's larger scruffy brushes if you wanted to use a larger. And you just kind of make a roundish shape. Hydrangeas aren't perfectly symmetrically round. Okay, and kind of get it as opaque around the edges as you can if you wish. And then we'll let that dry, the undercoat dry mostly. We can come in with a little bit lighter blue so it mixes before it dries. Get it good and thick so that not very much light's coming through. Okay, we'll load up with a lighter brush or color and come back and start filling in petals. Okay, I've got a Thunder Blue. This is Thunder Blue to do. Now it's not going to show up very well because it's the same dark color, but we're just pulling in some teardrop shaped petals. See, I touch, twist my brush and pull to the point. Now we don't have to be too precise with these because a lot of them are going to be overlapped by other petals, but we want to get it around the edges here as best we can. So there's a petal shape instead of just the stamping. Scruffy brush putting on. Pouncing, I guess that's what I'm trying to think of. So, okay, then we can just kind of layer in a few. Oops, I got that paint too thick. And this can be a little tedious if you have a lot of them. But you notice I'm not too precise, I'm just kind of filling in. And then I will bring in a little bit lighter blue. One moment. All right, actually instead of bringing in a lighter blue right now, I'm going to just add white to one side of my filbert brush. See white on that side, and there's the blue on that side. And I'm going to touch, press, pull, and that adds a bit of light to the dark. And I don't do one half of the brush, like one side and then one side with the filbert. I do the back and the front, so to speak. And then you just add, and it'll pick up some of the dark color from before. And then so it just kind of blends in. Bring it in from the side. I can finish off, you know, sometimes I just do 3 or 2 petals because it's going to get covered up and no one knows you only did 3 instead of 5. I'm deliberately leaving the outside mostly the dark color. I can bring some lighter in. I'm loading my brush with the dark blue and the white each time I go to my palette. And then I decide if that's enough of that. I want more. There should be a dark spot right there. And then I will let it dry a little more because I want the next ones, the white, to show up more and not to be blended in. Well, let me see how it'll be. I'm drying out my brush. I'm not getting water on it. I'm just picking up white. See if it will stay lighter. Oops, I didn't do too hot on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make my little man, head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. Yeah, I think just adding the white here. I was going to add that bright blue. I may test it on the next one, see if I like the brighter. It's called True Blue. Better. Now hydrangeas sometimes have 4 and sometimes have 5 petals on their little blossoms. Now the whitest part I'm trying to keep right in the middle so it brings it in, kind of like in a circular shape. And there is your hydrangea. Let me see, it's kind of lopsided here. I'm bringing a little bit more over here. And I will do that on all the others, on the other 2 dark ones. Let's see if I can get that in there. I'll do the same thing, and then I will go over those leaves, and I'll show you that in a minute. I realized after I got going that I led you a bit astray. This right here, I should not have pounced in until I had finished these 2 and then put the leaves over top of them, because now I have to go back and do these leaves, and they start underneath this. I'm just doing it the undercoat with the green and bring it over top of this hydrangea. And now they're going to get pounced back on. Well, we're going to see if we can just do the petals, and I see them a little off. Great thing about this way of painting is you can go back over your stuff and try not to get, I have a tendency to get many tips there. You just want one tip. And so we'll let that dry, and I'll do these over here. And then I will let them dry and then come back over and make them opaque. Opaque, however you pronounce it. There we go. And then there's one right here. Actually, that probably shouldn't, it should start over here and come in further. working it until I'm happy with it, because I'm not happy with it. Okay, I guess that will work for now. And let those dry. We'll make them opaque, and then I'll do this one. I'll show you how to do a few shadow leaves. I'll have the green, so you have the green from doing these leaves again. I'm just going to pinch it out. Just pinch it out. And I don't know if I have my medium. One moment. I'm back. I didn't have my floating medium out. I can't see it, or maybe you can, but it's clear. I'm just going to work my brush into it, and then I just create some light little shadow leaves. Work more medium in. These kind of sit to the back. Hardly noticeable once we put the wording will be across here, but it just adds a little bit more depth and dimension. Uh-oh. I got it in the blue when I was, well, maybe you can't see that. Oh, maybe you can. I get going and I forget. Okay, I've made these leaves opaque, done a few shadow leaves. Now I'm not going to go ahead and pounce over the leaves this time. I'm just going to start layering the midnight blue over the leaves, because it's dark enough to really kind of cover for the most part. And if you find it's not rich enough for you, then you can pounce over it and undercoat. But I'm going around the edges, this dark midnight blue, making the hydrangea. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting it round, not funky shaped. And I just keep adding the petals in the dark, dark blue. Okay, good enough. Just going to add the finishing highlights. I'm going to pull some pure white in right into the center. I go around the edges. What I mean by edges is I'm going to create a little pop of white, and I want it to be overlapped from the outside in, so I'm working around in a circle, and then I will bring these in to where the top petals will show right in the center, so that flower will be complete, and that is kind of like the little pop of white in the middle to bring it forward. And there's still some of the blue showing beneath. I'll do a little bit over here where it's more opaque white in the center. I'll just do 3 buds there. And probably can't see this far one clear, but I'm going to add them while I'm going here. You notice the leaves go from under this hydrangea over top of these, so it kind of sets them to the rear. And I'll do the bottom row. I have another row on the bottom of this sign that's the same, and that's basically the dark blue hydrangeas. Sometimes I find they're too dark and I have to come in and lighten up around the edges a little bit, but for right now it looks okay. As a finishing touch on these, I'm just going to take a liner brush, dip it in the same light green as the leaves, and just dab in little flower centers. Just a tiny dot to kind of denote where the centers of the flower would be. And try to be light, so you've got kind of a lot of paint on there, so you've got to touch real light so it doesn't get too big of a glob. Watch where I'm going. Oops, I got too big of a glob there, but it'll be okay. And I do that on all of them. And that's pretty much it for the hydrangeas. Probably said that already.